Oh, hey, 3 months of Mardi Gras started this past week, and in breaking news, some people find selfie sticks annoying. Also, some Harry Potter celebration thing happened a couple weeks ago, but from the Bob Varley studio, this is the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. This is episode 24 of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. The Diz Unplugged Universal Edition is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. Experts at helping you plan the perfect Universal vacation, whether you need a round-trip transportation and tickets from Disney or a vacation package. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of the Universal Edition of the Diz Unplugged. I am your host, Craig Williams, and of course, joining me at the table is Rhino Clavine and Jenny Lynn Bellatrix Lestrange Knop.
Hi, everyone.
And back on the controls, of course, is producer extraordinaire and wannabe Ravenclaw, Dustin West.
That's right. I am wannabe.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in that whole Harry Potter spirit because our segment, this edition, episode, whatever it is going to be about a celebration of Harry Potter that JL and I were privileged enough to attend. So might as well get going on it now. You finished your whole streak of watching the movies. You're all caught up.
Everybody,
know it all.
I watched all of those movies, and I loved them.
And now you need to read all the books.
In all my free time.
It's, just find time to do it. I do it while I'm on the toilet. That's just me.
There we go. A little bit TMI, but okay.
Audiobooks on the toilet. I don't.
You know what? I have heard that the audiobooks are actually possibly better than the
British
literal
ones are real good with is it Stephen Fry that does the
Apparently the dude who does it changes his voice to accommodate the characters.
I wish they were all read by Alan Rickman, and he just did it straight Alan Rickman the entire time.
Alan Rickman.
It would be really slow. It would be like this.
I think it was so funny though. It was as soon as I finished watching the movies, everyone jumped on me with, "Now you have to now you have to read the books," and it must be really important because everyone's really passionate about that.
I mean, the movies leave out a lot of details from the books.
A lot of fun side storylines.
Yeah, a lot more house elf mischief, especially with Hermione, almost to the point that it's obnoxious with how much she loves house elves.
That is interesting.
I would spew all over that. Yeah, that's the name of her group. Sorry.
So I guess we kind of just jumped into an impromptu housekeeping there. Housekeeping, JL's caught up. I think we talked about that last week too, but it's just
well, not only that, but I was surprised at how taken in I was by the whole thing. Like, after it was done, I had to get all my children sorted into houses because apparently this was something that we really needed to establish in our family. And
it's something that you felt you needed to establish in your family.
Doesn't everybody? Once you watch the movies, don't you feel like you have to find out where you're sorted?
I knew ahead of time because
you just, you were just instinctive.
Yeah. Before she even wrote the books.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Wow, that's impressive.
No.
Yeah. You saw everything that was going to happen in Harry Potter ahead of time.
I was. What's the teacher in the tower? Trelawney. She's actually my aunt. So
yeah,
good aunt because I know her name so well.
That's very good. Who played her?
Emma Thompson.
Good. I was hoping you know. But in other housekeeping, more importantly, if you enjoy us, which you probably don't after what just happened, go ahead and get on YouTube if that's where you're watching. Like our videos, review us on iTunes. I saw we got a pretty spectacular review on iTunes recently since we revamped a nice 2 out of 5 stars because apparently even with the addition of you guys, I am just still too unbearable.
So, did somebody write that?
That wasn't the exact words, but yeah, I mean, I have a very specific sense of humor. If you don't get me, you're not going to get me. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying to develop a personality, something that should have happened throughout my entire childhood, but it just never really caught on. So if you also dislike us, go ahead and let us know on all those ways. And we've talked about it every week. Find us on all our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter. We're the Diz Universal or Diz Universal, and you can get all of that information in our show notes page, which is located at dizunplug.com. Look for the blue Universal icon, and that's where all the information that we talk about ever will be located to find it later on. Also, I have to mention we have been putting the call out for contributors, and we actually have had a lot of people starting to contribute. So
Nice.
Still haven't posted anything new yet. We've got to go through that whole big process that we go through to actually get these articles up. But just know that we are looking at your contributions and seeing them. So please continue doing so, and hopefully one day you'll actually see your stuff on the site.
Be cool.
I would love to have my stuff shown on the Universal website.
Maybe
but
one day you'll get there, Craig.
yeah, one day I will.
Someday.
And then that's, no one really emailed us or anything this past week or gave us any feedback.
It's
So
because
I have-
it's because you're unbearable.
it says two things. One, yes, I am unbearable. And two, we must have had nothing incorrect to say about our last show. It
That's
must
good.
have been all spot on.
It's a pat
We
on the
must
back.
not have
We'll take
missed
that.
anything. I mean, we're typically, I think the general consensus would be we're getting better at what we're doing.
I would agree with that.
Good.
Good.
I'm glad
Thanks,
we could agree
everybody.
on that. But does anyone else have anything in housekeeping?
Nope.
No?
I don't think so.
Other than the fact that myself and two of my children are in Ravenclaw and another one claims to be Hufflepuff, although I suspect she is Slytherin. No.
I don't know if this counts as housekeeping. I'm just going to move on from that. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if this counts as housekeeping, but I made my Harry Potter T-shirt.
Oh, wow. Oh, did you really?
Yeah,
How
I did.
cool is that?
It says on the up my spine. It says courage. I did one for every house, so it's all the trait of the house and then the animal, and I, fun do-it-yourself activity. Any
we
excuse
are
to make
just
a
all
T-shirt.
Harry Pottering it up in here today.
Except for me, I chose to wear my my Walt Disney Studios shirt
Because Mickey Mouse screams Universal.
Well, I thought he was representing Ravenclaw because he's blue. So I just was like, all right, Craig's Ravenclaw.
No, it's just
But
that I
he-
don't think about what I'm doing ever.
And you chose Slytherin.
That's that 2-star attitude.
We're not going to get into houses and all that stuff right now. We can get
I
into
can't
that
get
later
away
on.
from it.
Well, we're going to have to because it's time to get buzzing with the buzz. And this week, the buzz is pretty awful in general, at least in my opinion. I'm not doing a pre-review of our show. It's bad. But we'll start it. 3 months of Mardi Gras kicked off this past weekend. Who went?
I haven't gone yet. I'm
Craig.
saving it for Bare Naked Ladies.
Craig went.
But
That's who went.
He's a big Olivia Newton-John fan. I know that about you, Craig.
Oh, well, we'll get to that. But yeah, basically Mardi Gras started, and for everyone who heard about Mardi Gras last year, we did do a show about it. It was really in details with with a guest star, Corey Martin, who this weekend he is actually on his way to Mardi Gras. So
The
he
real
kinda-
Mardi
The real
Gras.
one.
Oh,
the
the
real
actual
one.
one. Cool.
So last year he filled us in on what was kind of the differences, similarities, all that stuff, and then this year we're probably eventually going to get a little bit of perspective from Julie Martin on that too,
Yes.
because she had Mardi Gras days in her past, apparently really wild Mardi Gras days in her
Oh,
past. So,
Juicy stories to come.
If
Yeah,
it gets us more of that cake, I will listen to whatever they say.
well, it's good to know that that's all it takes to get you to listen to anyone.
Attention is held
cake.
by cake. Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, so last year Mardi Gras lasted for 4 or 5 months, some god-awful amount of time because, well, they were waiting for Diagon Alley to open up, and they wanted to have something to keep going on to get people to actually show up to the studios because a lot of people weren't planning vacations waiting for Diagon Alley to open. This year it's back to its normal 3-month kick, and a couple of weeks ago we talked about the whole concert lineup, and that's important news, but I did go this past weekend and went to it, and
So how was our girl Olivia?
Olivia Newton-John is a very famous,
Singer.
and I won't.
Very famous has
I'm
been.
going to redact that. She is a very well-known singer for what she's done in the past. However, she is 66 now, I believe I read somewhere, and
Oh, I can't even picture it.
I think it's time to put the nail in the coffin on that one. Not that she needs to die. I'm not condoning Olivia Newton-John's death in any way. I'm just saying it was a
The
concert.
music, it's time to go. Yeah.
It was a concert for a very specific group of fans. that I did not fall into. I mean, I've seen Grease a million times. I know all that. I know her physical, and
I did. That was
I know
in my
her
playlist
catalog.
on the way here today by accident. I'm just the Glee, like that remixed modern version of it. But
well, and you'll be happy to know that her Xanadu medley was the second thing performed.
I am
So-
happy to hear that.
So she did acknowledge
And
that.
I'm sure
but-
that the crowd erupted into wild,
Roller
joyous
skating
celebration.
passion.
Did
Well,
it?
the whole reason why I even wanted to cover this now, even though we're going to cover it again from Dustin's perspective, Julie's perspective, all of ours, this was the busiest Mardi Gras I've seen in probably 3 or 4 years.
oh
Wow.
I mean, you
Due
would've-
to it being the first day?
I've been on the first day before too. In previous years, I've been on the first day basically every time it comes around. Just because for the job, you kind of have to go on the first day and be the first to get all this information out. It was just swamped. I mean, my first experience with Mardi Gras ever was in 2011 at so I guess 3 years.
It was a terrible
4
year.
years. It was. I can't believe I just forgot what I was saying. It was Leonard Skinnard, Mardi Gras 2011, and it was so insane. People were pushing barricades, getting rowdy. OPD was there trying to calm everyone down, just yelling, screaming. Traffic, you couldn't get anywhere around right in front of the actual stage. And this was a much calmer, organized fashion, but it was still that same level. I mean, they had someone from OPD standing on one of the bicycle racks with the megaphone trying to scream out directions.
The one right now or the Leonard Skinner one?
The one that Olivia Newton-John.
See, that makes me really
Newton-John.
nervous because my first experience with Mardi Gras was, I think it was 2009, and it was Kelly Clarkson, and it was just like, it was a nightmare because I was like, if something happens in the crowd anywhere here, that nobody's going to be able to get to that person, nobody's going to be able to get out, I'm scared that day one already it's getting crazy like that.
And I'm very concerned with it from that standpoint because it is either because people actually loved Olivia Newton-John, really wanted to come out for it, or maybe because it is shortened this year back to its normal length, which going into April, that's still way too long. I mean,
Real Mardi Gras
it should
week,
be
right?
February and March.
Yeah.
That's all it should be. But with only those 3 months, and there's very limited acts and some really good acts in there, including Jessie J coming up this weekend, Bare Naked Ladies, Kelly Clarkson's right after that, Hearts the next week after that. I think a lot of people are going to come out to these first couple concerts. It's not until that MKTO band or whatever that I think things are going to slow down with it. And not all the concerts are going to be this packed and nights this packed, but I was just flabbergasted by it. And I didn't just want to use that word. That's not why I'm bringing this up. I just was completely taken back by how busy it was. But you know what? Good for Universal. They're bringing in the crowds.
They must have. When I saw the Kelly Clarkson a couple of years ago, it had to be park capacity. I'd never seen that many people in this park before, and I mean, maybe it's just because the whole park is in one spot or something. But it was. I don't know. It was not. It's when it's that full. It's not a very enjoyable.
And when you say the whole
experience.
park is in that one spot, you mean the whole event is in the one spot of the park?
No, I mean like when the concert's going on, like everybody has migrated to that part of the park.
okay.
So that's why
Everyone in the park is
I
in
didn't
that
even
one
see the
spot.
parade that year. I didn't see the parade till last year, but
And even, I mean, the event in general, it's great every year.
yeah.
Like I said, we'll talk about this more down the line. It was a little bizarre, though. A couple strange changes were made to the parade specifically. Everything else is basically the same. They have the French Quarter courtyard that still has the same food choices that are nothing close to what authentic New Orleans food is like. They still do the parade. However, the parade has, in the past years, and if you watch some of our videos on youtube.com/WDWinfo, you'll see the parade used to be spread out like float, and then stilt walkers, other performers, float, stilt walkers, float, stilt walkers, kind of going on like that. For some reason this year, they're doing 3 floats in a row, and then all of the stilt walkers that go with the 3 floats that are about to come up, they'll all be in like one giant group. So you kind of lose that identity of what each float is really about and represents. And then they do this bizarre stop in the middle of the parade, and all these sirens start going off, and the song comes on, and everyone freaks out for like 20 or 30 seconds, and then they go right back on the float and move away.
So the parade has less fluidity. Is that what you're saying?
I will probably watch the parade once or twice more this year. Once definitely whenever my parents come down, and I want to be there to see their first experience at Mardi Gras. But other than that, I cannot imagine that I'll actually take the time to watch this parade much more, which is completely different because in years past, I always went to see the parade. The parade is one of my favorite parades in Orlando in general.
And who doesn't like catching beads?
I do. That's my highlight because I'm normally not a big parade person. The only parades I find that I've enjoyed are the Halloween parade at Magic Kingdom, and it's really just that section with the zombie walkers and the shovels and stuff. But I love catching the beads.
I feel like just all fluidity has gone out the window with it because it's just bead overload for 3 floats in a row. And then there's this awkward gap where the stilt walkers are still afraid of being run over or anything. So they're just waving at you real quick and moving on by. But Mardi Gras is happening for the next 3 months.
With some good stuff coming up.
And we'll be there to cover it all. And we will get back to you on that one later. But next important, one of the biggest productions ever is coming to Universal Studios in the next Buzz item. I will try to pronounce this all correctly.
I thought you had missed.
They're starting a new film production, and it is called SOS Mujeres al Mar 2. And it's filming. I'm guessing that's what I just said.
No, that's not what you said. Nothing. You literally said nothing.
Okay, so you'll have to. Anyone who's listening, please do not turn us off at this point. There's a whole point to this.
Craig has not had a stroke.
Yeah, I have not had a stroke, and I do have a point to it. There's this Brazilian movie that apparently is super, super popular over there, from what I could read from their blog. Like I said, it was SOS Mujeres al Mar 2. And
something like that,
yeah. I guess the star of the movie her name's Giovanna Antonelli, and she's really excited about it. But they're coming to Universal specifically to shoot portions of the movie. I'm not sure if it's in the park, at the sound stages, or whatever. I just kind of skimmed over the story because it was completely uninteresting to me. But it just got me to thinking about the last time we talked about TNA wrestling.
Yes.
Coming back, shooting at the sound stages. And then on top of that, during that one, we talked about how La Voix Kids, the Spanish kids version of The Voice is filming there too. And I want to be on the record up front. This is nothing against anything happening with foreign countries coming into Universal to film. It's not about that, but it is really interesting now that 2 of the biggest things happening at the studios that they're really proud to promote is both for one thing that's a Spanish kids version of The Voice, and then now a big Brazilian movie is coming to film here.
That makes me start thinking like maybe they're going to promote that to pull in a lot of that Brazilian travel that goes to Disney, you know?
Well, I mean, if you've been to Universal lately, you'll know that there's more foreign guests at Universal than there are American guests. That's not a problem.
You know what it makes me think of is that there's literally no market for shooting any kind of film production in Orlando, and this is just the bottom of the barrel is what it makes me think.
That was also something that I kind of wanted to bring up on that, is that it feels weird that that's how they're trying to bring stuff in. If they can't get actual real movies made in America to film there, they're starting to outsource to other places. And I know before we said that we are happy to see them actually filming stuff in it, but if we're just getting second-rate productions, would you rather see Universal Studios maybe go to the Hollywood Studios model of just admitting, you know, we might as well try to make ourselves a thrill park because we can't actually get anything big to come here.
Take that space and dedicate it to something else. Take that space and dedicate it to Halloween Horror Nights. Dedicate it to attractions. Do something innovative with that space and celebrate your history of how you used to shoot things there, but don't hang on to it, clinging so far in the past that you have to keep it for that purpose. Sorry. Go ahead, Jenny Lynn.
That train of thought just left the station. I don't know what I was going to say.
On the Hogwarts Express?
Well, I was also going to say that Please do not be offended by us calling a Brazilian movie a second-rate production. It's
that's what I was going to
Okay,
say.
good.
I was going to say, it sounded like you were saying, though, that this is a very big deal for those countries. It's just something we will not connect with
Right.
as Americans because we'll never see it in our country.
Thank you. That I know I did not choose my words wisely all the time there, and sometimes I don't think before I talk, as I
lot of
mentioned on this
times.
show before. A lot of times I don't think. I was not trying to belittle that in any way. Yes, it is a very big deal. I mean, it's the first thing that I ever have seen on the Universal official blog where they even had you could link to the Portuguese translation of everything they said there. I mean, they're really, really, really even pushing for this market to get very excited about this because they are filming there and continue to push more of that market in there. And that's great. I'm glad that they found a reason to use this, but at the same time, when do they
At the same
give
time
up?
as the park guest, it's not something that as an American park guest, I guess, that we'll be able to connect with
Yeah, I'm not going to be excited about seeing that.
because we'll never see it.
Yeah. So that's where I was going with it. Is it worth it to just continue on with using it as a production for stuff that we can't get excited about because we'll never see it? Or
I just read about the movie too. I for some reason just assumed this was a horror movie because it has SOS in it, but it's not. It's a comedy that took place on a cruise ship. So I guess the shtick is this time it's a theme park, is what I'm assuming.
Oh,
See what I'm saying?
yeah.
So-
I mean, it'll never compare with the world's greatest cruise ship movie, Boat Trip, with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Horatio Sands.
I would go with, well, no, it wasn't the same thing. Never mind.
But
Anyway.
Not going there.
either way, it's filming, or it's going to be coming to film there. So maybe you'll get lucky and see these people that you'll never actually see on the big screen, unless you seek out Portuguese, Brazilian movies. Then good for you. I will try to seek it out one day, maybe. But yeah, the next thing on the buzz. This is a little bit more a general discussion on this topic. But Orlando Sentinel actually posted a story about selfie sticks, which, as anyone who's been to a theme park in the past, I'd say about 6 months especially, you'll know that you cannot walk more than about 20 yards without seeing another person with a selfie stick. Not the same people.
People have very strong feelings about these selfie sticks. This is what I keep hearing from everyone. They're really vehemently opposed to selfie sticks.
I mean, when I was walking through filming the Islands Adventure 101, I saw a lot. Like, I was surprised at how many of those I'd seen. I don't know if it's because maybe we had mentioned it once before, and now I'm noticing it more. But I mean, there's clearly like a rise in the use of them.
Yeah, and I've seen them at Disney just as much as I've seen them at Universal. However, I've seen them way more at Universal.
So for people who don't get to the theme parks regularly, please explain to us what is the very huge problem with selfie sticks in the theme parks.
Okay, I will start off explaining selfie sticks for anyone who doesn't know what they are to begin with, because I guess we shouldn't assume people know what selfie sticks are. Selfie sticks are essentially a telescoping stick, just like a monopod almost, that you can attach a GoPro camera or a cell phone to. Those are about the only two clips that they have on them right now. I'm sure one day they'll even advance to other types of cameras, but then you can telescope out this very long stick, so you can hold it all the way out in front of you, and you can set a timer on it and take a picture. Or a lot of people will just constantly walk around the park always recording, so that way
Some of the sticks have remotes on them too.
Exactly. Some of them have those, and they'll just be walking around so they can capture every single instance of their vacation. And then a lot of adults use it too. Like, adult dads will use it because they can say, well, finally, for the first time, I can get in my family's photos.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I've got this stick that I can hold all the way up.
Fundamentally, it's the same concept of taking a selfie with the camera, except for you have an extension. Your arm can now be extended so that you can include more in the picture.
Yeah,
correct?
it just makes that whole process a lot easier. And I immediately, when I think of it, as like I see it with a lot of like couples of two, and I'm like, oh well, I don't know. I'll let you finish whatever
Yes,
you were
go
saying.
ahead.
I mean, here's the thing. For me, though, I've taken selfies. I've taken a lot of selfies. We have one of the queens of selfies right beside us.
I thought you were referring to yourself for a second.
No.
Your Majesty.
Oh, thank you, sire.
My liege.
Selfies, of course, have had a very strong history, just how people feel about them. Some people absolutely despise them, think it's the dumbest way to take pictures.
Some people refuse to say the word.
It's
Which
nothing
that's
wrong
a
with it.
little overkill.
You're holding up your phone. You are seeing the result of your picture instead of asking somebody else to take the picture. And I took a selfie with a Power Ranger, and I was like, selfies with Power Rangers, and I thought it was cool.
In some situations, if there's no one around to take a picture, and this is where we get into this part of it, I hate selfie sticks. I think that they are an abomination. Everyone, you walk through a theme park now, and if you accidentally interrupt someone's picture before, if someone's taking a photo and you just accidentally walk through their picture, you feel bad. But it also strikes you as like, okay, next time I need to remember to try to go around them. Anything like this with selfie sticks. It's not even this option. You get these people that are walking around the park the entire time.
Yeah.
Not just for a second to take a picture. Just constantly.
It's an abuse of the selfie stick.
Thank you. It's an abuse.
Like if you were just
selfie
like,
sticks.
hold on, let me take a picture, let me pull this out. But I'm in my mind right now. I'm just thinking of very stationary people, and you're talking about the worst people.
Well, whatever happened to just being friendly and ask someone around? If anyone ever asked me to take a picture,
I'd do it in a heartbeat.
in the theme park, even if I'm in the middle of working and I've got my camera already out, I will always, a lot of times people see you with your professional cameras or semi-professional cameras that we have, and they'll ask you because they can obviously tell that you're decent at taking pictures.
Right. Yeah.
And I am all for, if someone asks me, I'll be nice, because if I'm ever in the same position, I will want the same thing back to me too. And selfie sticks have almost, in my essence, they've almost completely now eliminated talking to other people around you or communicating with people around you because they're so busy doing everything on their own.
As we're talking about these opinions, let me just ask you two very important questions, and you bring up a lot of good points. Two questions. Do they pose a safety hazard to anyone? And do they get in your way as a third party?
Yeah, and all I can think of is I've heard of issues where on rides where it's keep your arms and legs in the vehicle, like people just like the stick is out and it's like Forbidden Journey or something like that. That stuff is so close to you that if you have a selfie stick and you pull that out, like I know you're not supposed to have it, but any of your stuff in your hand, but that can be like right in your pocket or something like.
Yeah, and well, that's why. And I definitely wanted to bring this up on this show and not even necessarily one of the other shows, because Universal has a very strong stance on what you can actually bring on rides and what you can't. Disney, you can take whatever you want on any ride. They design their rides for
your
that
bags and everything,
particular reason. At Universal, even like stuff like Hulk, Dragon Challenge, Rip Ride Rocket, they've gone to these policies where, they have the right to ask you out front of the ride if you have anything in your pockets. And if you do, they can tell you to put it in a locker.
They do that.
And they do.
And there's been instances where just the change in your pocket
falls out
and
while you're going on a loop on
the
the
air.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, JL's unconscious next to me because she got hit in the head with a quarter.
And, so they have done a great job at making sure that selfie sticks aren't used on rides at Universal, which they're impossible to hide. I mean, even whenever you telescope them all the way down, they still will stick out of your pocket. They're still completely visible. However, if someone were to sneak it on because they're obsessed with trying to capture every single instance of their vacation, this could really hurt someone someday. I mean, that's why Universal doesn't even allow GoPros on a lot of their rides either. Even if they're strapped to your head or your chest and there's no way of them coming off, there's always still that 0.0001% chance that something can come off and hurt someone.
Well, and the people you're referring to who are like walking around the park with it, they're like you and I, if we had a selfie stick, I feel like we would be using it in the appropriate manner, like just the one picture. Not that we ever would, but and those people who walk around with the park, those are the same people who have like Pirates of the Caribbean, who have their flashlight on the camera, and it's no flash photography or anything on those sorts of rides for theming purposes or whatever, like
interfering with other people's ability to experience.
And they don't even know, they don't care, they're just ignorant to it.
And like I said, it's not just isolated at any one place. This happens at Disney World. It happens a lot more that I see at Universal. Maybe that's because I spend more time at Universal, but it is it's distinctly becoming an issue,
an epidemic.
The selfie stick epidemic. And I mean,
okay, I have to ask myself: is this an epidemic, or is this just the ramblings of a man who has strong opinions against fresh crushed pepper? That's what I have to ask
myself. It
myself.
actually is more of a thing. It's pretty prevalent in the parks.
Yeah,
I'm just worried that somebody's going to beat somebody with one someday. You know what I mean? It's like I know it's weird, but it looks like one of those.
What if the guy who had taken the ET doll had a selfie stick on him? That would have been a whole different story for that police officer.
Would have lost those.
I'm sorry, Craig. Maybe I just don't have as much experience with selfie sticks in the parks as you do, but I have no strong opinion of this. That's my take on all.
Can we ask everybody, people should be comment on the video or the boards or whatever.
I
would like to know what they think.
Anyone out there, email us, comment on YouTube, write to us in any way possible, and let us know how you feel about the use of them. If you use them, and I get that they can be used really artistically, they can be used in such a great way. However, I'm not seeing that anymore. At one point in time, whenever they were still starting to get big, you know, you'd see just random people having them, taking a picture, and now it just seems like every 20 feet, every 20 yards, whatever, you're walking around, you see another person just holding it out the entire time and just not paying attention to anything else around them, not having any respect for anyone else around them. And I think it needs to end. But the whole reason we were even talking about this is because, well, they started to get banned too. Over in places in England at stadiums, museums. Do we think they should be banned here?
Yeah,
well, and what would be the reasons for them being banned in stadiums and so on? And
all I can think of is when you're in a stadium, you can't have an umbrella with you. You can't have an umbrella open, and
because it's obstructing other people's view.
Well, no, I mean I've gotten caught in the eye with umbrellas before from working at Lights Motors Action, and yeah, it's like half that stadium's covered, and so sometimes it rains, and I understand they don't want to get wet, so I sympathize with people and their umbrellas, but I have seen too many incidents, and it has caught me too close to ripping. I have had cuts on my face from it before, and it was an accident, and it wasn't like this person was out to start stabbing people with umbrellas. But it was just but in those moments, I'm just what if there's somebody just right behind them and it catches them?
Yeah, I suppose that could be an issue.
Yeah, I mean it is becoming a trend though, and that's what the whole article was about.
I can get on board with it from that perspective. I mean, I'm
safety.
I'm a littler person, and I tend to get body checked in the parks a lot, whether it be by children or parents with strollers or just big people. For whatever reason, I'm not very noticeable in the parks, and people run into me all the time.
I noticed that from our time in the parks together.
I know. It's kind of ridiculous. So I am sort of waiting for the moment when I get, you take
a selfie stick from someone and you start beating them with it.
I get hit with someone's selfie
Mardi
stick.
Gras.
It's going to happen. If it's going to happen to anyone, it's going to happen to me.
The invisible woman.
I don't know what it is.
Well, I guess that's all we have to say about selfie sticks at this point. Let us know whether or not you think they should be banned in theme parks, if you're for them, against them, all that. But that is going to do it for everything that is buzzing right now at Universal and Orlando. So we are going to move into our, I can't remember what I called it the last time, the mid-show shuffle something.
Mid-show shuffle.
Mid-show shuffle. We're mid-show shuffling. And for the mid-show shuffle, I'm actually going to toss it over to Rhino on this, because before we talk about a celebration of Harry Potter, one of the things that's actually at a celebration of Harry Potter in the Expo Center is a Scholastic booth kind of setup where all these people signed this giant wall with what Harry Potter meant about them.
Oh. The Muggle wall, right?
Yeah, the Muggle wall. And we have, you'll see it in the video that we'll play once we get to that portion of the show, but that also made me think of last week, or just earlier this week, we were having a conversation about a viral video that's starting to go around now for Harry Potter fans, and Rhino specifically brought it up, so I'll let you talk about what this video is.
I really quick, with something you just said too, about what Harry Potter means to people. I read this article once, and I love Harry Potter, and I love what things can mean to people. Is that J.K. Rowling visited this girl in the hospital once who had anorexia or bulimia, or it was a really bad eating disorder that was killing her, and she went to her personally, and the girl was just like, these books are what keep me alive or whatever, and she was like, oh, I'm gonna give myself goosebumps in a second, sorry. And she was like, okay, well, if you do me a favor and you get better, you know, I want you to come and audition for these movies or whatever. So the girl did. She got better. She got out of the hospital. She went and auditioned, and she landed herself the role of Luna Lovegood.
Yep.
OMG. Wait, is that serious? That's a true story?
That's a true story,
She,
she was a devoted...
She didn't talk... Sorry.
No, you go ahead. You said.
She actually, at last year's Harry Potter celebration, she talked about this quite a bit. And I think she even made one slight reference to it this year, if my memory serves me correct. But no, she went on and on about it.
And she's like one of the best parts of the movie.
She
like,
is.
She's nailed that part.
She is phenomenal.
I always knew she was like an Uber fan, but I didn't realize that whole backstory.
Yep.
I knew she was an Uber fan that got the part.
Saved her life. You know, like it's just, you know, what somebody's words can mean to you is just, I don't know. It gives you, it just takes this thing that you already really enjoy and just makes it a little bit warmer, a little more.
Oh my gosh, I already loved her from the celebration. Now I love her even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
this
do you want to
video,
tell us about the video? Yeah.
This video that I saw, one of my friends posted it, and since then I just posted. I shared it, of course, too. It's a fan has recut the movies, all of Severus Snape's all
of his moments in the movie.
Yeah, all of his major moments, and put them in chronological order. So it starts with like the earliest flashback, and it just kind of goes forward. And so it's like a 14 or 15 minute video. And I was like, oh, I'll watch this, you know, whatever. I clicked on it, and at first I was like, okay, I get it. It's chronological order. But I have never seen all of his life put together in that sort of a thing. Like, you can talk about it, but when you see it in those moments like that, like, man, I started like crying on my bedroom floor in embarrassment a little bit. But like, I got like 8 or 9 minutes into it, and like, that guy that character had a terrible life, and it just was one of those moments that puts like Harry Potter, his journey, into perspective for me too, because you get to the the video ends with Harry putting his face in the pensieve and then seeing a quick flash of everything we've just seen and then coming out, and I started thinking about Harry, and I started thinking about Snape, and like Harry's world just got, not only was it like ripped open right then because he realized I'm the last Horcrux and like now I have to walk to my own death. On top of that, this man that I just saw get murdered in front of me has really been like protecting me my whole life, and my dad is really kind of a jerk, and this guy.
Spoiler alert, by the way.
Yeah, spoiler.
Yes.
For anyone listening,
Come
that
on,
was a spoiler.
guys. The book has been out for like 7 or 8 years. Get your stuff together. All right. Anyway, the dad's a jerk, but like it's actually like I applaud the person who edited this together, because they like try to add this other musical track underneath, so every now and then the other ones from the movie kind of snake in, but it's pretty well done. I think, Craig, you said you were going to put the link in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But this, honestly, for people who are Harry Potter fans, which I think everyone knows at least one Harry Potter fan, and you've been on social media in the past week, you've probably seen this by now. It has taken on a new viral form since we originally talked about it, and it's really beautiful. But I also hear the reaction. A lot of people cried from it. I know my fiance Kylie was sitting on the couch watching it and started crying, and I was wondering what was going on.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so beautiful.
Well,
and it happened to a lot of people, but that's what made me think, like, Harry Potter means so much to so many people.
Yeah.
And before we talked about a celebration of Harry Potter and whether or not it should even continue happening as an annual event, what's it mean to you?
I mean, it's just genius is what it is, because I just love that there's just so much there that maybe we haven't even seen yet, like, or we haven't understood in these other contexts, like the Snape thing. Like, I told you I rewatched the movies before Diagon Alley opened, and I'm just watching Alan Rickman do the performance of this guy, and there's that scene in the third movie where they have literally just like thrown him across the room. Harry just like did his Expelliarmus and left him for dead, basically, in the Shrieking Shack, and then they're out, and the Lupin turns into the werewolf. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen this one either. But like, and Snape comes out of the tree, out of the Whomping Willow at that point, sees them, turns around because he hears the wolf, and like he takes his arms out, puts all 3 arms around him, around these 3 kids. And when I was watching that movie that time, I was just like, something got to me, because I'm like, this guy is still a person that cared about people. You know what I mean? Like, there's a story there that it just opened this whole new thing in my heart that like we've read these books and like it's just there's this misunderstood character right here the whole time. There's the other kid that has the weight on him the whole time. You know, there's Dumbledore that we find out later that you know, Rowling's like, well, he's gay, and then you're just like, oh, you know, it makes sense, and it's kind of like you don't even. We're just so blinded by the flashy stuff. There's so much depth in here that there's just so it can mean so much to anybody. Like I'm looking forward to like going back and rereading again. I don't know.
Wonderful. Dustin, does it have any meaning to you at all?
It has absolute meaning to me. I don't know that I can say it any better than Rhino did, though, because I feel like it's the same thing for me. It's one of, you know, I don't read as much as maybe I would like to, but it's one of the few series of books that I've read. I've probably read Harry Potter more than any book series elsewhere, and I'm really invested into the world and to the characters and stuff like that. I'm a huge geek when it comes to it. I'm a huge fan, so it does mean a lot to me. And you know, Rhino, I think you're right. I think it is about time to go back and reread.
Yeah.
It's been a couple years since I've reread the whole series,
and now there's
I need
like
to do
things
that.
like this video coming out, and you know, it's been a while. You can reflect on it. We're now, you know, a different point in our life than we were when the last book came out. So it's just one of those things that's great about it is it can continue to mean something. It's not nostalgia. It's just that now we can go back and maybe we're going to relate to you know, the Weasley parents or something more than we did originally, and or you know, it's that Snape thing, the other side of the spectrum again. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I totally know. I'm going to skip JL and I just because we're going to actually probably end up putting all of that into our discussion on how we actually felt about the event. Okay. A lot of time. So with that, we're going to jump into our spotlight on the universe, which this week, as we've mentioned about 19,000 times, I believe at that point, 20,000 times, a celebration of Harry Potter 2015. Excuse me. 215. Nope. Yeah, it happened. So it returned once again this year for another 3-day weekend celebrating everything that is Harry Potter. It happened basically the same weekend last year, and it was a huge success last year. I mean, people ate this crap up. They loved every second of it, and it was a big deal. They had a lot of the film cast there. They had James and Oliver. They had Ivana again. Last year, they also had Matthew Lewis, who plays Neville. Tom Felton showed up. Draco Malfoy, for people who don't know, and then his name just fell out of my mind right now, but the man who played Arthur Weasley, Mark Williams.
Oh, that guy's great.
Sorry, I'm just running on. And then a couple other of the film talent actually showed up for it too, so it was a huge deal as compared to this year where we had the two Phelps brothers, Ivana Lynch, Michael Gambon did show up, which was huge. Michael Gambon, who plays Dumbledore. Robbie Coltrane was supposed to show up, and he did make it to Orlando, but he got extremely sick on the flight over, so he didn't end up making it. But so it was on a bit of a smaller scale in some ways this year, but also on a bit of a larger scale too. And before we get into all the details about what actually happened, I'm going to go ahead and show the video package that I put together about what the entire weekend was kind of like and show some of the highlights. So we will cut to that now, which you can watch on youtube.com/WDWinfo if you're listening.
Hey everyone, it's Jenny Lynn from The Diz. We're at Universal Studios for a celebration of Harry Potter. Join us and take a look at everything that's gone on this weekend.
Oh God, I can't remember a line. I can't, you know, it's been I don't know how many years ago did we stop Harry Potter, and I'm so old that all the dialogue goes out of my head. You know, so I do lots of other plays now, or films, or TV shows, and so Harry Potter's sunk into the distance. So I miss it a lot, though. But I can't remember a line. I wish I'd make some up if you'd like.
Do you have a favorite line?
Yes, actually.
What is it?
It's the one about.
You can't remember it either.
No, about darkness, turning on the lights.
Oh, it's the door.
Who's turning on the...
I know it. I know it.
Ivana, what's your favorite? Everyone, he's already cast a spell on all of you. Don't you know what's happening right now? You're all being blanketed right now with forgetfulness.
If one only remembers to turn on the light. Happiness can be found in the darkest of places if one only remembers to turn on the light.
Set my light.
Michael, do you have a favorite spell?
I wish I had. I've never put a spell on anyone, have I? Dumbledore hasn't done that. No. No, I didn't. Yeah, I don't remember which one it was.
Actually,
in fairness, a lot of your spells were without incantations. They were just like from inside, so you can say you're above spells, and that's fine.
I'm above spells, and it comes out of my brain.
I think what we're going to do, and you're playing this very well, I should say,
we're
going to circumvent every question that comes your way to Ivana first.
Okay.
And then she, yeah, well, actually, I think what you're doing is you're allowing her to speak what you are thinking. So good on you, Michael. What house would you want to be sorted into?
I'd want to be Gryffindor, and I am Pottermore official. Yeah, I love Ravenclaw, but I love the passion and the fire of Gryffindors, and I like that they, nothing will deter them if they really want something. And I don't think I could be a Ravenclaw because I don't have the best memory. I don't retain facts that well or words, so I'd be kicked out. But yeah, Gryffindor, they're really fiery and cool, and they've got Harry, so yeah.
James?
I really like badgers, so Hufflepuff, I think.
Hufflepuff. All right. Just for that reason alone.
One of.
Okay. Oliver?
I think considering I've already got the uniform, Gryffindor would be the easiest bet, definitely.
Gryffindor?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm getting a bit nervous again. I'm not a member of ours, am I?
No, actually, you are beyond all the houses.
So I can't answer the question.
You were a Gryffindor, though. Dumbledore was.
Yeah, historically.
He was Gryffindor.
Historically, it was a Gryffindor.
Oh, thanks very much.
So then if she's got all the answers, an open mind,
I
and
was
she just goes
Gryffindor.
at it.
I liked it very much, Gryffindor.
Something wicked this way comes. Double, double, toilet trouble, fire burning, corner trouble. Double, double, toilet trouble. Something wicked this way comes.
Brave at heart, daring, better be Gryffindor!
Congratulations, well done, Hap.
Oh, well, thank you, Craig, for doing that. Oh, you're welcome.
Weird. Okay.
Yes, I am weird. I could have swore that lady at the end of the video was going to get, I thought she was going to get Hufflepuff. That was just me, though.
Sometimes I feel like you're insulting people.
And if you didn't watch the video, if you're listening, you didn't watch the video, there was a lady in Gryffindor that got sorted, and she was wearing all Gryffindor stuff, so it wasn't a surprise, but I just got to try to be feisty. So, Celebration of Harry Potter started on Friday, January 30th. And it officially started at about 9 a.m. in the morning with the park opening. And that entire day, you could go into the expo, which is just this giant room set up in Soundstage 33 at the back of the park. You can get to there in the New York section, and it was impossible to miss this time because there's a million signs pointing you all around where to go. But inside, they had booths set up. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, they had a Scholastic one where you could sign the Muggle wall about what Harry Potter means to you. They had a Mina Lima booth, which showed off some of the design work that they did. You could purchase it. Pottermore, where you could do a moving photo. Like if you watch the video, you saw JL's where she did some weird thumb movement that the guy made fun of her for, which was tragic. They had a Warner Brothers studio tour for London, kind of a little photo op there, and they took a lot of the props from that, brought them over, as well as the Harry Potter exhibition, which Rhino just talked about during the video break. They took some of the props from that too, placed them all around the room, including Ford Anglia, one of the Weasley's flying car, a couple robes, other little this and that's all around. But the Expo Center was kind of the main hub that you went to if you just wanted to get souvenirs that were for the event, anything like that. So that was the basic hub of the event. But then that first day too, they had a movie on the lawn. They showed the first film, and people were just kind of sitting out hippie style watching it on the lawn, and it was entertaining to say the least.
Well, I would say to say the most. The first day of the the first day of this event, I actually found it very underwhelming. I was in the middle of watching all these movies and starting to get very excited. I was officially hooked into, in the story at this point, even though I hadn't reached the end. And I was going to this event and I was just thinking it was going to be amazing. And I would get to, live what I'd been watching on my TV screen for the last few days. And, getting there, again, the expo, I was stoked. And you walked into the room and it just was underwhelming. You were like, oh, that's it?
Just a room.
It was just small, and it didn't have that much. What they had was cool. I loved the whole display case with all of the Horcruxes in one place. They had some really good ideas. Dumbledore's desk was there. It was awesome being able to see some movie props. And they had some really cute photo opportunities, like you guys saw me talking in front of that Gryffindor thing. Wait,
excuse me?
Not Gryffindor. What's the name called? Hippogriff. Okay, sorry. I'm still working on it, guys. Okay, but some cute little photo opportunities and a little tiny bit of merchandise, but it was very small, and I was just expecting more.
You can't call it small. It wasn't small. It's in a huge soundstage. It's just there's not a lot there. People were waiting up to 2 hours to get into this place. If you had one of the vacation packages, which we'll kind of get into that towards the end, we were there in two different senses. We were there as part of a vacation package, as well as for media. We're going to kind of go on the package side more than the media side for all this. But if you had the package, you could wait in a very, very short line. Sometimes you just walk right in.
Right, which we often did. If I had waited 2 hours and then went into that room, I would have been very disappointed. I don't know what I was expecting. I was just expecting more.
And I felt like last year there was a lot more than there was this year. This year it did feel completely underwhelming whenever you were in there. I think we were in there for maybe 10 minutes, and then it's like, okay, well, let's go. I mean, if you're a diehard fan, I'm sure you could spend an hour in here, but other than that, you can't spend that much time in there. There just wasn't anything to see or do.
So it wasn't like set up. It was just kind of sprinkled around. It was just like
it was. I would say in all the corners, just booth. It was kind of like an expo, except nothing was in the middle.
Was it more or less than what they had at the D23 Destination D stuff?
I mean, it wasn't just in terms of photo ops and stuff. Yeah, there was about the same amount of photo ops, but very similar. Kind of in that way. It was underwhelming.
Well, that's a shame because the exhibition in New York was it was set up like you were walking through like the streets and the like.
In the exhibition, they did have a guy there that was not in charge of the exhibition, but he was promoting the exhibition because right now it's in Paris, and then I believe it goes to Germany, so that might have been flipped backwards. But so they talked about this, but this wasn't an exhibition. This was showing like, oh, here's Mina Lima. If you want to buy some of their stuff, great. Here's Scholastic. If you want to buy some of the new books that Kazuo Kobuishi illustrated for the cover, go down to the store to get them. Here, though, you can do a raffle to try to win an exclusive print that he was doing. And over at Pottermore, learn about this website, but there's nothing else to do besides JL thumbing up.
Yeah, the most exciting, maybe that's what it was. Maybe I just thought it was going to be a little bit more interactive, and I would have loved for it to be a little more interactive. It just seems like you've got such a great story, and there's so many creative things that you could do with this and bring it into an event and really make it a big deal. And
the props were amazing.
The props were great. I would have loved to have seen more of that and more interactive elements. But again, that was just the first day.
Yeah.
My
and
first
we haven't even
impression.
gotten to the opening ceremony. Dustin, did you have something to say, though?
No, I was just going to say, look, if you're interested in Harry Potter props and film sets and stuff like that, I mean, there's no better place to go than the actual Warner Brothers studios in London, which I've been to. And, they have the traveling exhibitions and stuff, and they have events like this in Orlando. But if you really want to have an immersive experience, that's where you need to go.
Very good point. So then after we kind of experienced the expo, the big thing of the day that even Universal live streamed so you could watch it from at home was the opening ceremony, which at the 2014 event, this was a very long ceremony. I would say it was close to an hour and a half. It was freezing that night. It was in the 40s, I believe. Our night was a lot more pleasant and very warm outside, but I was expecting the same thing. Like last year, there was a good, I would say a 45-minute Q&A with all the stars. And those were only the ones that even went to the stage. Not all of them did, if I can remember correctly. But this time, it was about the first 15 to 20 minutes of the opening ceremony was bringing out people like Kazuo Kobuishi and Paul Harris, the wand choreographer, and Mina Lima. And they kind of said, yeah, we're here. We're going to be doing panels throughout the weekend. And that was basically it. And then there's a red carpet set up for the stars to come down, and everyone's excited about it. I mean, people were talking about how, oh yeah, we've been set up here for hours just to watch the red carpet. So then the stars finally come out, and Ivana Lynch is the first to come out the red carpet, and she's walking down very slowly and kind of saying hi to people on the sides. James and Oliver come out and just take off sprinting down the side, kind of slapping hands as they go by. And then Michael Gambon comes out on stage in a Ford Anglia that was driven out. He gets out and then goes sits in his chair. So this big event that everyone was waiting for, this red carpet walking down, was just a complete bust. I mean, if you weren't right up against the gate, you didn't see anything. And then in terms of, I mean, they could have just walked out the stage, and it would have been just as kind of critical. Yeah. And then once they got up there, it wasn't a big long Q&A. It was 5 minutes. Not even that. It was about 3.5 minutes, judging from the video I put up, where they just asked,
"Hey guys, they're
what are you
here.
looking forward to?"
And that's it.
Yeah, it was. What are you most looking forward to this weekend? Well, Michael Gambon's like, I've only been here once before, and I'm confused about where I am and all that good stuff. That was kind of a trending topic from the weekend. Michael Gambon being confused about what Harry Potter was.
Well, I was telling you, Craig, during the break earlier today, is that he, since that event, has announced that he's no longer going to be doing any theater work because he can't remember any of his lines anymore. So,
which I love Michael Gambon as Dumbledore.
Yeah,
I love him. He is spectacular. However, he's ready to move on to retirement, in my opinion, just judging from this event. But overall, the opening ceremony was just such a letdown.
It was.
Should have been so
Again,
much more.
The whole first day was a little underwhelming, to the point that I thought I was really disappointed because, like I said, I had been so excited. I was in the middle of these movies, and I was like, yes, this is going to be great. And got to the first thing, and to get to the end of the first day, feeling like, wow, I don't even know if I want to attend the following days. Yeah. But I'm glad that we did.
Yeah, because the next day started out really well. There was a film talent Q&A, and that's where a lot of the cutaways from the video that we just showed you, that's where all those moments happened. And there was some really funny moments. Yes, they came at Michael Gambon's expense of not really remembering much and having to rely on Evanna Lynch knowing everything. But it was still a very entertaining event.
Very much so. And you got to see the personalities of the actors. They talked enough and interacted with the guests enough that you really got a good feel of who they were as people, I thought that was cool because, they'd been on my TV screen for the previous 3 days, and then all of a sudden now they're right in front of me. That was very exciting.
Yeah. And other events that happened during the day was the Mina Lima design discussion. They did this one last year too. They just showed off a lot of everything that they do, which is every basic thing that has typography or labels design on it, they had a hand in it. So you have to watch their presentations or just go and walk around Diagon Alley and look at everything to really understand the scope that they are the reason why Harry Potter looks the way it does. Their work's incredible. I would recommend going to check out their website to look at their whole portfolio that they have up. Kazu Kabuishi, the illustrator, like we said, he came out and he did a live sketch that at the end, after he was done sketching it out, that was what they were going to raffle away that you could have signed up for at the Scholastic booth. This was one of the surprise panels for me that I ended up coming away enjoying the most.
I was just going to say the same thing. I went into this thinking, all right, I'll be glad when this is done. I really don't care to sit and watch someone draw a picture. But it ended up being rather interesting watching him create this thing and being able to talk at the same time. I found that kind of... I can't talk and do that kind of stuff at the same time.
I'll even be honest. We were flat out talking about completely skipping it because, it's interesting to see him doing that. But in general, I wasn't excited about it. But it turns out that he could have a second career as a motivational speaker.
Yes.
If he actually wanted to, because you had all these artists in the audience that were talking about, what do I have to do to be involved in something like this? How can I get there one day? And I have such a good passion for that, and I just want to be a part of it. And
he was very inspiring to those people.
Oh, yeah. But he also cut them down because he's like, it doesn't matter if you're passionate about it. I do this, and I was lucky enough to be a part of this because I want to change the world. And I know I could do that through my art, and the opportunity came through that. I have passions too. If I had a passion, it would be filmmaking. But I'm doing this because I can change the world.
He talked a lot about his purpose and what he was doing, not because he wanted to, just for the sake of art. It wasn't about the sake of art for him. It was the idea of, as you were saying, helping other people, more specifically inspiring others to read and giving people a motivation to learn to read. And again, I can't emphasize enough, it just kind of took me aback how he was able to be so inspiring and interactive while at the same time we're watching this incredible creative process happening before our eyes.
Yeah. Oh, no, it ended up being my second favorite thing that happened the entire weekend. Then also that day, there was some trivia that happened in the sound stages, some house meetups where everyone who was wearing their certain house could go get a big group picture of everyone. And, everyone's got to show your house pride. Hashtag house pride.
I thought that was a good idea. I just kind of wish that they would build on that idea a little bit more. I love, obviously, we've already talked about my fascination with the houses of Hogwarts at this point. But, doing that kind of gave you a feel of, the end of the year yearbook photo.
Yeah.
And this is your sorority or whatever it is and fraternity. And I think they should do more things like that to involve the guests of the event.
Interesting. The last big thing of the event was that day was the wand dueling demonstration with Paul Harris, who did the original choreography for wand dueling and wand combat all the way back in Order of the Phoenix, which that was the only one he actually worked on. After he came up with all the moves, then they were like, well, we already have them. We don't need you to come back and continue doing this. So he was given the pink slip, I guess, in a way, or not the pink slip. He was fired. We'll call it that. And then I don't know.
He was released?
He was released. He was released back into the wild, but he is still a huge part.
No longer needed.
But he's still a huge part, obviously, which is why they keep asking him back to do this, because he was here last year too. I can't do them. I did the moves last year because I had to, but
My
you
favorite
got
part.
to do them this year.
That was my favorite part of the whole event. I thought that he was fantastic. I did get the opportunity to have him instruct me with a group in all of the whole wand choreography.
Did they give you a wand? Or did you bring your own?
No, they provided me with a wand, and then I, learned the steps and got to do it. And it was just, I loved it. It was so much fun. And he was great. He was great as an instructor.
Yeah, and I just had to say that was a part of the media side for that. If you were there with a package or just a day guest, some people were lucky enough to get up on stage and learn the wand movements, and anyone could learn them in the crowd. But for that experience, JL, that was part of the media.
For the whole crowd, they did bring up a group of people on the stage, and you could see them demonstrating it. But then they also encouraged the entire crowd still on the ground to learn the moves. So everyone as a whole was practicing this choreography with their wands. And then at the end of the presentation, he had the two sides of the floor as well as the two sides of the stage turn and face each other and do a mock wand duel. A battle. It was cool.
And Ivana Lynch joined him this year. Last year it was Mark Williams, a very drunk Mark Williams. And this year Ivana seems sober, from what I could tell. But yeah, it was a fun presentation. If you've seen it once, you don't need to see it again, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion on it. And then on Friday and Saturday night, if you are part of the vacation package, one of the privileges that you got was to go to a special after-hours party for 3 hours in both the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Diagon Alley, and Hogsmeade. They were both open, so you could take the Hogwarts Express across back and forth. In my opinion, since we did have a vacation package, we were able to attend this, and this was the entire reason if you bought these vacation packages to actually go.
Yes.
Because you were let in, and they talked about how they'd have some desserts, some snacks, and you'd get free butter beer. But on top of that, in Diagon Alley, you got as much ice cream as you wanted from Florian Fortescue.
It's a true story. The fantasticness of this party cannot be overstated.
I love that ice cream.
To me, my opinion, it would be worth, it is worth even if that was the only thing they did for this package and you got to go to this party, it was worth it. Being able to be in that environment for, a somewhat exclusive party with the unlimited ice cream options, all the flavors. And then they had, separate booths where you could get snacks of different kinds and, then unlimited butter beer.
I care nothing.
Unlimited juice.
All of, it was an incredible atmosphere to be in, especially for an evening event.
And it wasn't, because they split it off into 2 nights. Part of the vacation packages went Friday, the other went Saturday. You couldn't go to both. It was basically empty whenever you were in there. I mean, we walked on to Gringotts. The only wait we had was right at the top of the stairs to wait to get on the ride itself. It was a spectacular.
It just kind of felt like a block party in Diagon Alley.
That does seem like something that would be like a really cool perk, like you said, like the party, but then also like just being able to stroll leisurely through there without having to worry about a crowd or any selfie sticks.
It was wonderful. And then there was no party on Sunday, but some wrap-up events that happened to another film talent Q&A kind of closed out the entire weekend. But the 2 new ones that happened were Dance Like a Beaubaton and Fight Like a Durmstrang. We did not attend that one. It wasn't anything personal. I'm sure it was exciting, fun, and entertaining. However, we don't take pictures, video, or still of kids. So it was a kids-only event, not an adult. So if anyone saw that and wants to tell us what it was like, let us know. The only event that we really attended on Sunday was Creating the Wizarding World, which was led by Patrick Brayard, Michael Aiello, and Alan Gilmore. Alan Gilmore did a lot of the design and the conceptualization and art for the Wizarding World as well as the movies. Michael Aiello and Patrick.
Is this guy wearing a football jersey?
Yes.
Okay, I'll show that.
Yes, sir. That is the whole group. I mean, Michael's huge on Halloween Horror Nights. He is the person behind it all. And so they talked about the entertainment in the Wizarding World and how it really came together for Diagon Alley, specifically the Tales of Beetle, the Bard show, and Celestina Warbeck. And I know at the time JL hadn't gotten to.
Don't steal my thunder.
Okay, I'll let you go then. Okay. I'll let you go.
I was going to say, this is the part of the event where I really struggled, but it was my own fault because I hadn't made it all the way through the movies, and they discussed a lot of the details from the last few movies and how they went into the process of making Harry Potter. So I wasn't able to connect quite as much. I kind of sat there with the feeling like I know that this is important, but I really don't understand why it is. And so for that reason, in terms of this event, in addition to the fact that when the cast is talking, there was just an immense amount of spoilers, when one of the Weasley twins said, and it kind of stinks that after all that I had to, and I went, because I didn't know it was going to happen. I tried to avoid the spoiler there, but the point being, like, in order to actually have the full experience of this event, there was an element to it where I did realize you do really need to get through all of the whole story in order to connect on every level when you go.
Yeah. In this one, you needed to know actually about Diagon Alley too as well. This was my hands down best event of the entire time. It was the only one that they didn't do last year, really. I mean, Kazu didn't do his demonstration, but this was the newest thing because Diagon Alley wasn't open last year at that time. It blew me away. Some of the details they talked about going into making both of those shows, and then fielding questions about how whenever they walk into Diagon Alley, they try to always walk into it with a fresh set of eyes and bring as many people there so they can see it through their eyes too. It was a nice way to wrap up the weekend, at least for us, in my opinion. But that's also because that's what Harry Potter just means so much more to me. Nothing personal. I know that you are happy about getting through the book or the movies and all that, but
I'm low on the totem pole.
It's just everything means so much about me, especially the theme parks, because I loved the books and the movies before I even went to the theme parks.
Yeah,
but
right.
then once I saw the theme parks and it blew me away, that is whenever it all changed for me and it suddenly was on a higher level.
One thing that I thought was really cool about this presentation, even though I didn't connect with it, is what came out, what was very clear, was the passion of the people who designed the area. Yeah. And that was a little bit moving in a way to see, this was not actually just a job for these folks. This was something that they genuinely put their soul into when they were creating it.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to wrap this up here as easily as I can. But in terms of this year and last year, I thought that last year had a lot more excitement. It obviously had a lot more film talent, so there seemed to be a lot more meat and potatoes to it. This year, it felt very, very lacking to me, especially as someone who did get to experience it the year before. And then I just liked how it was worked last year better than this year. This year, everything happened at the Universal Music Plaza stage, the big one where Mardi Gras concerts, all those concerts happen. And so everyone was standing the entire time for the big events. For some of the smaller ones on Saturday and Sunday, you could sit down because no one was crowding in to see those ones. But for the big ones, you had to stand up that entire time. Last year, it was all in the Toon Lagoon Amphitheater, which is all seating, and it was very comfortable. You're shaded the entire time. So, and the sun was bad this weekend. There was no clouds. So I walked away with it with a sunburn and very sore legs. So I think just everything was done a lot better last year. But kind of why I wanted to ask about the meaning coming into it. Dustin and Rhino, you didn't get to see it this year, and you didn't get to see it last year either. JL, this was your first year. Harry Potter obviously means a lot to all of us. But after seeing how it happened this year, I don't know if this should become an annual event thing and see it again next year. But how did hearing about this, did this excite you?
Yeah, the impression that you're giving me is I didn't really miss too much. Like, I'm more into the interactive stuff. Like you were talking about the dueling or that house meetup, I think is a cool idea. And that's what I was kind of thinking it was going to be more like...
like you're living it.
Interactive.
You're living it. I feel very strongly that it should be an annual event. I just think that they need to expand on it. With Harry Potter possibly being the most popular intellectual property that they have in the park, I think that they should treat it as such, and it should take center stage. For me, my perspective coming in, and I don't think that I'm alone, I wanted to go to this thing, and yes, seeing the stars and hearing about, you know, the background of the place, the theme park was great, but I just kind of wanted to live it. I want to be in wand dueling battles.
That's
I
what
want to take yearbook pictures with my house. I want to be sorted. So more of those types of things where we can, as the guest, actually feel like we are a student at Hogwarts.
Like I wanted it to be what exactly what you're talking about. Like that feeling you get when you walk into Diagon Alley. That's what I want. I want more of that from that. I don't want nothing wrong. I love the celebrities being there, and the Q&A is cool, but I don't think it should be based around Q&A sections. And I think it probably will be an annual event only because there's those 3 other movies that are going to come out, The Fantastical Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're going to still.
I have no doubt that it's going to be an annual event. After this one, I'm not sure. Maybe a biannual.
Somebody's got a plan.
Bi-yearly.
Yeah.
I think that would definitely be good. But Dustin, just real quick, do you have any excitement to see this next year? Because it is going to come back next year. I'll already guarantee.
If it's coming back next year, I'll try to make a better effort to go see it. But like Rhino said, unless there is a focus on any kind of new additions, new properties, or anything like that, I think we're just going to see a repeat of what we had this year. And as we know, this year was a lessened version of the previous year. So I think it'll only dwindle down until there's new properties to promote and stuff like that. Yeah. That's my impression of it.
Okay. So I don't want to speak for anyone who attended the event. If you did attend it and you loved it, let us know about it. I want to hear other people's opinions beside my own, because then I'd have to listen to myself talk, and that's just no fun. But thank you guys for joining in. I know this was a little tough for Rhino and Dustin since you weren't able to come to the event, but thank you, Jenny Lynn, for participating. It was wonderful, and I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. We will be back next week with another very fun segment that we're not going to give any spoilers about right now, but we'll be back next time with another episode. So thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you later.